Hey, we're here to talk about using Trello for service-based people, just like me. As I said earlier, I'm an online business manager and strategist, and I help people organize their business. And one of the ways that I do that is using Trello. So this is kind of my bread and butter, allowing my clients to have more freedom in their business and getting them organized. So a lot of the work that we do is in Trello. Now, a lot of the things that I'm going to be showing you are kind of, I guess, they're the way that I do things. So maybe they're not going to work specifically for you because I don't know what kind of service you have. But I do know that if you take these principles and start to kind of play around and organize what you do, then it's going to help you out. So we're going to go ahead and dive on in. I've got this a couple different ways. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I said this in the other recording, so if you've already watched the product-based one, I am 8 weeks pregnant, and so I've had like the tiredness, the like sickness, all that stuff. And so yesterday's video, I know I was like yawning the whole time, and I was like, okay, guys, like I'm not just in need of a nap, like there's another reason. But we haven't told anybody. So you guys are like the first people to know. So shh. Yeah. So let's get started on this. Now, first off, like I said, this is kind of just going to be a run through of different ideas that I've had for different service people. And I want to make sure that it's kind of free flow. Like you guys are able to take these ideas and run with them. So the first one I'm going to touch on is the important notes. And whenever you're working with a client, I think it's really, really important to have communication. And then another thing that is kind of important with my clients, and you could even do, excuse me, you could even do like a whole different list of passwords and then have each individual, like if you're using Canva or if you're using a different type of repository or Dropbox or whatever, you can have a whole list of just passwords. So like creating one that goes like that. Oops. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, I mean, it's up to you what you decide to do. I think it's a good place to have different passwords just completely put together, like having them in one place so that you're not having to go back and forth. And obviously, something like using LastPass is important as well for some of those things that you don't want like them to actually know what the password is, or you want the ability to revoke it quickly. Heaven forbid, but sometimes things happen. So then communication, you can go ahead and just tag somebody with the @ and say blah blah blah. And then this is what I want you to know. So that's how that works. Communication you can do there. You can do passwords, important notes, whatever else you want them to know. If it's something like these are the words that we use in our brand, and having it be succinct. Like I was talking to somebody about, excuse me, having like words or masks or like ways that questions would be answered. If you're hiring somebody or you've got somebody that does customer service or you do some customer service for somebody, having mask emails where you can say what's listed and say, okay, this is how we answer this. That's super important. So, I mean, you could even say like email for rejection letter, um, whatever ways you find that there's important notes. Now, this is for coach, um, and this is one of the ways that I've seen be really effective for service-based people is to be able to keep track of different things for different people. And you can even create boards. If you're a coach, you can even create boards for your clients and have it be like the shared repository. You guys can pass notes back and forth. It's easier than emails, which is something Trello is great for. Instead of having to send emails back and forth, you can be like, oh, I'm just going to go onto Trello, put in the note, click to tag, do that sort of thing. So in my description up here, I've got a 6-month coaching and once a month calls, and then I've got the phone number. Obviously, if you're doing it through Acuity, you can set up to have a Zoom information sent directly to them. But if you're using something like this, that would be a way to do it. So then in the checklist, you can do, and you can even name this coaching client checklist or something like that, whatever you prefer. So you can say introductory call. I can't spell. I'm so sorry. Okay. Intro call and then have, so like that's, if that's your 90-minute call. Oops. And then you can have the follow-up calls. So you have how many ever calls, if they're complete, if they're not, and you can track that way. Because sometimes, like, let's be honest, you go to schedule somebody and either they cancel or you push it back and then it never gets scheduled, or you've just had so many calls you don't remember where they're at. So this is a really great way to keep track of those. And then if you have any notes that you want to pass on, anything you're thinking of, you can put it here. So that's going to be that. And then to-dos for client Betty. So this is something that I have used myself, creating a to-do list for my clients and then having a card for each of the things that they need to get done. The nice thing about this is that you can go in and create a checklist and say, okay, to add a blog to the site, I need to have the blog written. Graphics need to be found. And then actually posting it. And then adding it to social media. Okay, so that is how that works. And then you can click add. Oops. If you want to have them, if they themselves have written the email or this works with emails too, the blog post, and you want to have that right here, you can do that. You can also have a Google Doc link and put it in the comments. So this is something that you can either create like a board for your clients, or it's something that you can manage yourself, or you can give them access to the board. It just depends on what you want to do. So then if we do add another blog, you can go to checklists, copy items from, and then add checklist. And it's going to give you the same information. So this creates consistency. It also creates a system, and it allows you to have the best quality work, because what's better than having something already written out for you? So those are the ways that I use it with clients. And for service-based businesses, that's going to be a couple of the different ways to use it. Another way that you can use it for service-based businesses is just, like I said, having one board per client and having everything there, or creating a couple of different things. So if you are a designer, if you're a graphic designer, you've got one board per client, and this is a good place for you to use or to add any of the different information for their likes, dislikes, any client surveys that you've got. And I'll actually be showing you tomorrow how to create a Zap from Zapier, so you can create automation coming from a list or coming from Acuity. Having that information directly added to Trello is a great way to add automation to your business, which I think we all are like, hey, anything that can make our lives easier is great. So that is another possibility. When we do something like add a client or have services, a lot of times you might want to have something that shows them how to use Trello. So having a tutorial you've made yourself and giving them information that way, and just creating a short video, and then you can actually give them the Trello link, share with them your Trello link, your recommend link, and that way you get it's like the Trello Gold, so like the upsell, like I said, and you can have that. You don't get money from Trello, but you get free services, which is pretty awesome. So that's one thing. And then the other thing you can do is if you're doing it as a due date, you can actually do, let me see if I can find it here. I just thought of this, so I want to make sure that you guys see this. So power-ups, and it's going to take a minute to load. So these are all the different things that they integrate with, but you can add a calendar. Let me see if it'll load here. Oops, sorry. Okay, enable. You can add the calendar to the board, and that way it appears up here on the top, and you can click on the calendar and it'll give you due dates. You can also add a card and say meeting person at 1, and then you can create with list. So important notes. This is a place that you can create reminders as well. So you've got that on there, and then you close this, and it'll actually give you a notification when you have a due date on something. It gives you the notification up on top in this bell, I guess, the reminder bell. So that's a good one to use. And then I think, so it integrates with Dropbox, Elegant, Google Drive. I'm not seeing any others on here that I want to show you right now. Slack. So all these things, like there's so many possibilities. So that is that. And I just want to check one thing quick here. Oh yeah. So this is the other thing I was going to show you, is the 2017 board. Obviously, we've already gotten through the first quarter. So there are two different ways that we can do this. We can do month. So we've got month to month to month in a linear fashion, or we can do quarterly and have quarterly goals. And you can even, you can do this a multitude of different ways. So you can do this as the quarters and have it listed. So you create the Q1 and then you add a label. And that's one way you can do it to differentiate between the different quarters. If you want something more eye-popping, I guess. And then, so January You can say, oh, these are my goals for this month. I want to do my power sheets. I want to write 4 blogs. And then you can leave comments or you can check things off and be like, hey, I'm awesome. I've got it all done. So obviously January is already done. So I would hope that y'all met your January goals. But if not, it's okay. We're humans. So January, like I have all these here. June, I did this a little differently. So I said up here, I want to create passive income. Who doesn't want to create passive income, right? So I said you can either update, like you can do a comment and leave it here. And I said, in order to create passive income, I want to update my videos. Or I created a separate card for each goal. And then I've got a checklist here. So update videos. Done. Reach out to affiliates. That's something that I can work on, right? So this is a visual way to create goals and have something that's not necessarily pen and ink. I love my power sheets. I have been using power sheets for like 3 years now, and I love them. But not everybody does, which is fine. Like if you need something that's visual and on the computer and something you can type into and you can play around with and move them all around, like I can take passive income and I can go to July and I can be like, hey, July, here's a goal for you. The other thing that you can do is with this board, actually with any boards if you want, even if we go back to the services board and there is a, if you have all of your clients in a list and you've got a due date or a to-do list for each client, you can even make like an ideas board or a card. And that's just going to be your ideas. So often I find that we as entrepreneurs and small business owners, like we have all these ideas, but we don't really have a place to put them that keeps them there and that we can come back to. I like to journal, but I'm not always going to flip back in a journal and be like, okay, cool, what did I want to do? So this is a good way to put this information in here and just have it be here. So you can look out into the future and be like, okay, in July, I want to collaborate with a blog. That's something that I want to do. So you can put in the information. You can make a different card for each blogger. So I want to collaborate with Laura Casey. That is totally a dream of mine, actually. So do that. That's there. When it's done, you can say, cool, I did it, and take it off the list. Or you can make a separate list and say, these are completed items, which is really good to look back and be like, oh my gosh, I did all this stuff. Like, how cool is that? I am all about seeing results. And I think doing it this way is really, really powerful because you see results. The other thing, let me see if I can find it here. The other thing I was talking about with, I think it was this one, with having somebody do your social media. So often, because I help people hire onto the team. So that's one of the areas that I love to serve people in, is allowing them to add different team members and grow. And a lot of times they're like, I have no idea what to do. So one thing that you can do is, if you want to keep Instagram, Facebook, whatever, in your own words, in your voice, but you don't want to have to spend hours going into SmarterQ or Meet Edgar or Buffer, you can have a list of postables. So you can share this board with your VA or your social media manager. Say items to post. And you put this on here, and then you can say for IG. and then take your picture or your link or whatever you want to do. Obviously for Instagram, it has to be a picture, but the same thing applies for everything. So you take your attachment, put what you want on there, and then you write your description, and they can take the picture and the description, load it up for you, and then you're good to go. And you've got your voice and your hands off. And obviously, if you're using something like Meet Edgar or SmarterQ, which, by the way, SmarterQ is amazing. I just started using it a couple weeks ago, and it was awesome. And I like the fact that it recycles your content. So having the repository here isn't such a big deal, but it still allows you to have your pictures have something. Like there's a backup. And then if you don't know what you want to write next, you can always look at what you have. And then once it's posted, you could have a already posted. Take that and move it over. And that is that. All right, so I have talked your ear off for the last 20 minutes. I hope this is extremely helpful. I'm going to send the 2017 board to you tomorrow because I didn't send it in the emails today. It was kind of in a last minute add-on. My friend Rachel Johnson sent me a picture of all of her boards, and she's like, this is what I use. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're a genius. Because I've done like an annual board with a couple of people, but I don't know if the person that I learned it from is trademarking it or not. So I want to make sure that I'm not giving away their secrets, and I think she's got a course coming up on it. So I want to make sure that I'm not doing something that's going to get me in trouble. And I want to make sure you guys have awesome boards to use. So I hope this has been super, super helpful. And obviously, as I said, these are just different ways that you can work with people. If you have something that you have that's earth-shattering, go ahead and share it. I'm going to be posting these in the Facebook group. And then in the thread, just go ahead and say, hey, this is what I've done. If you have questions, you can post them there as well, and I will be happy to answer them for you. So I hope this has been helpful. Have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.